How's it going, guys? Topic for today's video, how to stop overeating and how to start eating intuitively. So in this video, I'm just going to go over one easy little practice that you can start doing today in order to start eating more intuitively. So it's very common to hear in the plant-based community or in the vegan community that you can basically eat as much as you want and you're not going to gain any weight. I think there's enough anecdotal evidence against that to basically say, like, yes, it is possible to gain weight on a plant-based diet. It's more difficult to do it, but there's so many people who have gained 30, 40, 50 pounds by eating a plant-based diet and literally force feeding and overstuffing themselves. Now, eating intuitively is it's something that all the plant-based doctors promote, something that Hannah and I promote with Rata whenever. Basically, intuitive eating is just a fancy word for eating. So it's just basically when you're hungry, you eat. When you're no longer hungry anymore or you do not have the desire to eat your food is basically when you stop. Now, for most people, that sounds like common sense. Like, that's how most people actually eat. But there's some conditioning going around in our community basically saying, like, you have to hit a certain number of calories or you have to basically force feed yourself. You have to eat until you want to vomit. And then when you vomit, then you want to eat up the vomit. This is almost like another eating disorder in and of itself. Now, that being said, there are plenty of people who do kind of like go this route of force feeding themselves or overeating, and they also end up getting results. So there's going to be people who do get results, and then there's people who are not going to be able to get the results that they wanted. So for example, when I was doing my overfeeding experiment, I would sit down and try to eat a 1,500 to 2,000 calorie meal. Afterwards, I'd usually feel incredibly tired and lethargic, and I would want to have to go take a nap. It's kind of weird. At that time, I didn't think that there was anything wrong with that because this is what I was told basically to do this, and then I did it, and I wasn't really in tune with my own thinking and just my own logic. I should have just been like, you know what, this doesn't really make any sense, just eating way too much, but I still did it anyways, so it's like, whatever. So the one practice that I want to talk about in this video to help you start eating more intuitively is something in Japan. So it's a practice in Japan. It's called Hara Hashibu. And what Hara Hashibu means is eating until you're 80% full. Many of us can be very used to force feeding ourselves just from prior eating habits. And even though we're eating a plant-based diet, it can still cause that weight gain. And it causes that weight gain because our satiety and the hunger mechanism is basically broken. Our stomach is at a much larger size than it normally would have been. And so we're able to fit more food in there and we're experiencing weight gain, but we're still eating a plant-based diet, which is considered to be, one of the very healthiest diets, and you shouldn't have to worry about gaining weight on a plant-based diet, but it's still happening to a lot of people. So this is basically how you practice Hara Hashibu. So make a normal meal that you normally make for yourself. However many calories you normally make, take it and then cut it in half. Basically eat half of it. Then after you've finished half of it, what you want to do is you just want to check in with yourself and take a 5 or 10 minute break from eating. So eat half, be like, all right, I'm going to wait 10 minutes. After the 10-minute point, ask yourself the question, am I still hungry? So if you're still hungry, then fine, then you can go and eat more food. After you've eaten 50% of what you normally eat and you're not hungry anymore, then you've probably hit the point of satiation. The idea here is to start to become a little bit more in tune with your body. Once you start to feel stomach pressure, you start to feel like I'm starting to get full, that's when you've hit the 80% point. So it might take a little bit of time to get used to this style of eating because you might just be used to just stuffing yourself, eating past the point of satiation and really just force feeding yourself. So for some people, it can take up to 15 or 20 meals in order to reset the muscle memory of their stomach through just eating more intuitively. So this is a process that you're gonna have to kind of trust, and it might be a little bit scary because you might think, well, I'm not eating as much as I used to, so then, I'm gonna die of starvation. That's not gonna happen. Basically what you're trying to find is the sweet spot between calorie restriction, which is not healthy, and then force feeding yourself or overstuffing yourself, which is not healthy in its own right. You're trying to find that middle ground there where basically you're eating until you're satisfied, so you start to feel that stomach pressure at about 80%. And afterwards, you don't feel that lethargicness or that tiredness. Like, you still have a good amount of energy after you've eaten. So you want to find that sweet spot there where you're obviously eating enough, but you're not eating too much, and you kind of base that just on the feeling of your stomach pressure. So I'd highly recommend that if you have some issues with overeating and you want to learn how to eat more intuitively, it's basically as you're eating, you just want to take more time to do it. So take some breaks and then check in with yourself, see where you're at, how you're feeling, how your stomach is feeling. And then what's going to happen is your stomach size is just going to adjust eating to a smaller amount of food. So you feel more satisfied on a smaller portion, but you're still eating enough calories. And that way you're not feeling deprived, you're not calorie restricting, but you're also not force feeding or overstuffing yourself. Something else that you might want to check out, Hannah and I have put together an awesome weight loss cheat sheet. So if you want to jumpstart your weight loss on a plant-based diet, it'll be in the first link in the description box below. Definitely check it out. So I hope that helps. If you have any questions or comments, definitely leave them in the box below and I'll answer any of those up for you. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day. Talk to you soon. Peace out.